Do you know what the most terrifying psychological weapon is? It makes absolutely no sound. Society trains you to defend yourself against aggression. You know how to react when someone raises their voice, when they insult you, or when they try to physically intimidate you. Your defenses automatically deploy. But professional manipulators, highly toxic individuals, and elite negotiators rarely yell. They know that whoever loses their temper loses the frame. Instead, they use a weapon that bypasses your logical defenses entirely. In this video, I am going to show you how a calculated 3-second pause can make your boss, your partner, or your worst enemy automatically surrender and hand you all of their power. Welcome to Shadow Mindset. Today, we are going to decode the 4 specific ways silence is weaponized against your brain, and exactly how you can turn the tables to defend yourself. Pay very close attention to the third technique. It is the exact mechanism that toxic partners use to make you apologize for things you did not even do, and understanding it will permanently change how you handle conflict. The psychological pattern here is creating a conversational void that the other person feels a desperate compulsion to fill. In any high-stakes conversation, the person who is most comfortable with awkward silence holds all the power. Think about the last time you were in a salary negotiation, or you were pitching an idea to a client. You stated your terms. You said, "I need a 20% raise for this role," and the person sitting across from you did not say no. They did not argue. They just looked at you, maintaining eye contact, and said absolutely nothing. Within 3 seconds, the silence became deafening. You started talking. You started justifying your request. You said, "Well, I know the budget is tight, so I am open to negotiating, maybe 15%. Without them saying a single word, you negotiated against yourself. Why does this work so effectively on the brain? It is pure evolutionary biology. For early humans, being excluded from the tribe meant certain death. Our brains are hardwired to interpret prolonged social silence and a lack of verbal validation as a threat of ostracism. When you make a statement and receive silence in return, your amygdala triggers a stress response. Cortisol floods your system. You feel literal psychological friction, and your mouth opens to fix the social rupture. You talk out of evolutionary panic. How do you defend yourself? You must train your nervous system to view silence as a resting state, not a threat. When you state your price, or state your boundary, physically anchor your feet to the floor. Close your mouth, and count to 10 in your head. Let the cortisol spike, and let it pass. Make them carry the weight of the vacuum. But what happens when the silence is not a negotiation tactic, but a battle for dominance in a crowded room? The psychological pattern here is using abrupt, dead silence to amplify another person's disrespect, effectively reversing the power dynamic in front of an audience. It is the ultimate jujitsu move for dealing with loud, overbearing personalities. Imagine you are in a meeting. You are explaining a complex strategy, and that one coworker, the one who always needs to be the alpha in the room, loudly talks over you to inject their own opinion. The amateur reaction is to raise your own voice to talk over them, resulting in a chaotic shouting match where you both look unprofessional. Instead, the moment they interrupt you, you stop talking completely. You stop dead in your tracks, and you stare directly into their eyes with an unblinking expression. You let them finish their loud interruption, and then you allow a heavy, suffocating silence to hang over the entire room for 3 full seconds. Everyone is staring at them. Then, in a calm, steady voice, you say, "As I was saying before the interruption," and you continue. Why does this work on the brain? Human interaction operates on social momentum. When someone interrupts, they are trying to steal your momentum. By completely withdrawing your verbal energy, you remove the friction they were pushing against. They stumble forward into empty space. The dead silence acts as a massive spotlight, highlighting their lack of social grace to everyone in the room. It bypasses their ego and directly triggers their social shame circuitry. How do you use this and defend your frame? Your physical posture must be entirely relaxed. If you cross your arms or look angry, you look defensive. If you hold a relaxed posture and weaponize the silence, you look entirely in control. Now, we move into the darker side of human behavior. The technique I warned you about earlier. Clinically, this is known as stonewalling, or the silent treatment. The psychological pattern is using the total absence of communication as a form of behavioral conditioning and psychological punishment. You know exactly how this feels. You have a minor disagreement with a partner or a toxic boss. Instead of resolving it, they shut down completely. They refuse to look at you. They walk past you in the hallway like you are a ghost. Days go by. The atmosphere becomes so thick and toxic that you can barely breathe. Finally, you cannot take the pressure anymore. You break down and apologize for everything, taking all the blame, just so they will acknowledge your existence again. Why is this so devastating to your brain? Neurological studies show that the brain processes social rejection and the silent treatment using the exact same neural pathways that process physical pain. When someone you care about stonewalls you, they are effectively starving your brain of dopamine and serotonin. It triggers extreme attachment panic. Your logic shuts down, and your survival instinct takes over, driving you to do whatever it takes to restore the connection, even if it means destroying your own self-respect. How do you defend yourself against the void? You must violently reframe what is happening. You have to stop viewing their silence as a puzzle you need to solve or a punishment you deserve. You must view it accurately, as a form of emotional abuse. Do not chase them. Do not beg them to speak. Step entirely out of the vacuum they created. Maintain your routine and let them sit in their own toxic silence. When they realize the weapon no longer controls your nervous system, they will drop it. Which brings us to the final and most empowering use of silence. The psychological pattern here is delivering a definitive statement and absolutely refusing to elaborate, justify, or explain it. It is using silence as the final period at the end of a sentence. Most people are deeply uncomfortable with being disliked. So, when they set a boundary, they weaken it with endless explanations. They say, "I cannot take on this extra project this weekend because my kids have a soccer game and I've been feeling really tired lately and my car is in the shop." You are giving the other person a menu of excuses to argue with. A high-level thinker sets the boundary and seals it with silence. They look the person in the eye and say, "I am unavailable to work this weekend." And then, absolute silence. No because, no apologies. Why does this assert massive authority over the brain? Over-explaining is a subconscious signal of submission. It tells the other person's brain that you do not believe you have the right to say no, and you are begging for their permission. Silence signals absolute conviction. When you leave a boundary hanging in the air without justification, the other person's brain processes it as an immovable object. They do not argue, because you did not give them any material to argue with. How do you apply this? You must audit your own sentences. The next time you tell someone no, force yourself to physically close your mouth the moment the word leaves your lips. Let the silence do the heavy lifting for you. Silence is not empty space. It is a highly active, highly concentrated form of psychological pressure. It is a tool, and like all tools, if you do not know how to wield it, it will be wielded against you. We are taught to fill the quiet moments because the quiet moments force us to look at the reality of the dynamic in front of us. But true power belongs to the person who can sit in the silence, feel the cortisol spike, and refuse to break first. Take a moment and look back at the 4 patterns we just covered. Tell me in the comments down below which one hit the hardest for you. Have you ever negotiated against yourself just to fill the awkward silence? If this video brought you clarity and gave you a new framework to protect your mind, hit the subscribe button and like this video. We will continue to decode the invisible systems around you. Stay observant.